Now that we're done talking about it, our new slogan. Welcome to the Lovecraft Easing podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Soze. We were talking about the Continental. So thumbs up, Rick?
I give it a thumbs up.
Gives it a thumbs up.
Secret
Matt,
ballot.
what is that in your hand, Matt?
This is our prize. It is a plushie I got as a Kickstarter ages ago when I supported the hardcover edition of Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom.
And you don't want it anymore because you fed it after midnight?
No, it's been sitting in my closet downstairs untouched for a decade, maybe. I don't know how long.
He's cute. He's like a combination of Dumbo and Cthulhu.
Right. So this is the prize. If you want to win this plushie, send an email to easingprizes@gmail.com. Put plushie in the subject heading. We'll draw a winner in a few weeks, and who knows, you may win it.
You know, Matt, I'm thinking of changing the way that they win prizes. They could leave a voicemail on the Easing phone number, and then I could forward that to you. It's in the form of an email, so you wouldn't have to do anything different.
Then there you go. If I don't have to do anything, I'm all for it.
Okay, that's what I thought. That was my main selling point to you.
If I have no, but I'm still going to offer, they can send it to the regular email too. I mean, I would do both.
Would you? Okay,
Yeah,
because I was going to put the top insult to Matt Carpenter on the voicemail gets 2 prizes.
Yeah, as long as you're giving them.
I'm giving them. Yeah, okay. The phone number is 515-650-2540. 515-650-2540. I'll start putting that in the show notes. You need me to repeat that, Carpenter?
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, okay. Let's introduce ourselves while Matt tries to figure out his AOL-powered phone.
It's
DeBronzo. Since
Hi.
you're promoted above Carpenter now, we should start with you.
I'm Mike DeFranzo. I'm an architect and an artist. There you go.
Damn straight. Bridget?
Hi, I'm Bridget. I'm a composer and artist.
And Matt, you're the prize guy, so.
All right, Matt. I'm also in charge of Lovecraft Easing movie night. We had a great night last night. We listened to the 1945 recording of the Dunwich Horror with Ronald Colman. And then we watched Curse of the Demon, the 1957 movie. It was not the shorter American version. It was the full version. Our current platform is Hyperbeam, which is much more reliable with better picture and sound than Cast. But it has a big limitation that only 12 people can get in. A year or two ago, 6 months ago, it was only 6, 7 people, 5, 8. That's fine. And then lately it's been ticking up to 10. And last night there were at least 3 people who couldn't get in. So we're looking for a new format. Rabbit doesn't exist. I don't want to go back to Cast.
No, we're not going back to Cast, period.
So we are still looking. I want everyone to know we are still looking for a forum. We'll try and find one that's got the same qualities of Hyperbeam, but maybe allows more people.
Right. If you guys could help me Google whatever, speaking to the audience as well. If you find something that you think would be good for movie night, please email me, lovecrafteasing@gmail.com, and tell me, because I know there are a lot of listeners out there who are much better with computers than I am,
or even me.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Yeah. Lovecrafteasing@gmail.com, and let us know what you find.
So also the movie this week is going to be about time travel. So there's time travel choices to be voted on Facebook. Mike has mentioned that he's had viewers who are not on Facebook who may be interested in going to movie night. And
I solved that problem, by the way, just today.
You just ignored them? That's a good way.
That was what I did this week, but not on purpose. Whenever you post to the Facebook message thing and on the message board about movie night, I will put that on Twitter. I will copy that and put it on Twitter, the Lovecraft Easing Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called. You don't have to be, I think everybody knows this, but you don't have to be on Twitter to read a post on Twitter. So that's how we'll get this to you if you're not on Facebook, or even if you're not on Twitter, you can still go there and look. So
And if that really boosts the viewership, it adds some more urgency to finding a new forum.
yeah, we really need help with this, guys. So please email me with your thoughts on it.
Because a limitation of Hyperbeam is I can't get on Netflix or some other streaming services on Hyperbeam.
That's probably an OE problem.
No, it's really I've tried passwords. They just don't. Twitter will not. I mean, Netflix will not allow me to open up on Hyperbeam.
Well, Netflix, because they just
Yeah,
started
well,
that thing a few months ago about not sharing with other people that are on a different network. I think that's probably the problem.
right. But the point is right now most everything we're watching is on Prime, and I cannot share DVDs onto Hyperbeam either, which means I've got a bunch of like the collections of shorts from the HP Lovecraft Film Festival.
Oh, those would be great to show.
Right. So I got a bunch of stuff to share, but so we're working to improve. But for this week, it's probably still going to be Hyperbeam.
And you have to realize with us, it's a lot of work when we try to improve. So
when you're so good, that incremental to get just a little better is really hard.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. I was going to go to our friend Pete is at the HP Lovecraft.
Rick has to introduce himself.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rick.
I'm Rick Lay, writer and Pulp Magazine Clip.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rick.
Okay.
Our friend Pete is at the HP Lovecraft Film Festival. I was going to go, but one of the issues, not all the issues, was I got really, really sick this week. I was in bed for several days, and stomach issues. But I feel better now as of yesterday. Happy to report no more bloating. I no longer look like a woman in her third trimester. So that's an improvement.
What are you talking about?
I do. Thank you. So I'm still here toiling in obscurity. So, Bridget, glad you could make it this time. You know, if you don't want to come, you don't have to make up an excuse like my internet doesn't work.
Oh my gosh, that sucked so bad.
What happened?
But it did. Well, so it was out for over 24 hours, and I thought, okay, well, our Wi-Fi is just down, but it was my phone service as well, which was really anxiety producing because I couldn't respond to text messages. If I would receive them, it'd be hours later.
Yeah,
I'd have to go out in the driveway to call.
What if you had a recall or a drill? That's really tough.
Yeah, it was really scary, honestly, just like, if there was an emergency or something, I would have, it's not a whole, I don't want to say it was like a huge, hardship. Like I could have gone in my car and gone somewhere if there was, to call, but I just didn't know what was going on. And then Mike and I, when he got home from work, and we left the house for a little bit, and then my service was fine. So I'm like, and his service was fine. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And we went down this one street and there were like 12 Verizon trucks, digging in the earth and everything. So they were obviously doing something. But it just sucked because the outage was until like Halloween evening. So,
when we did the Halloween episode this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you did it Monday night, so
Monday night,
I didn't have any service on Monday, and then I was thinking I wasn't even gonna be able to watch any movies or anything on Halloween night. So luckily it came back right in time for trick-or-treaters and stuff. But
you don't have VHS anymore or DVDs?
Oh yeah, like we watched Event Horizon on Blu-ray Monday night. But it was like there's certain things that you like to watch on our stream or whatever on Halloween. So
yeah.
It's, first world problems. It was not as hard as I make it. It just sucked because I couldn't contact anybody without like driving out of my neighborhood, which was just a little concerning, but it got fixed. It's all
And-
good.
And your
It
landline
allowed
just-
me time to finish Night in the Lonesome October. So
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
Was your
You know, I
landline
mean-
down too?
I don't have a landline. That's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
okay.
Like I had no connection to the outside world unless I left my neighborhood. So
I'm gonna
it's-
make a, I was kidding about that, but I'm gonna make a bet with myself that.
You have a landline?
That, no, I don't. That Carpenter does have a landline.
Nope, we
don't?
did. What we, when we moved to
Damn it.
Peoria, gave up on it. It's just extra money for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Nobody
true.
calls on it except for like solicitors and scammers. So
For a while, when I, like 15 years ago, when I was really just wanted for emergencies to have a landline. And now I just,
You have a pager?
I used to, but the hospital really stopped using them again about 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here, Bridget.
yay, me too. And I don't have to even be logged on from a, grocery store parking lot. So
Last time I interviewed Victor Laval, which by the way, we're gonna do again this week. But Ben Handelman, he's really busy, but he was on the road. So he pulled into this gas station parking lot and he was on the Zoom call the entire time.
it's funny.
Yeah, so that we've got that to look forward to. Victor Laval is a Patreon, and a lot. If you listen to the show, I really appreciate that. Watch the show, whatever. If you really want to help, being a Patreon helps a lot. So just Google Lovecraft Easy and Patreon, or the link is in the show notes. So, yeah. So you guys have some things to. Oh, Bridget, say cheese and die.
Yes.
You want to talk about Goosebumps?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I'd seen or initially that made me want to watch it, but
I would
yeah, I
never
started
have watched
watching-
it if you hadn't said something. I wouldn't have.
it
So I'm glad you did.
yeah. Oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, but it's yeah, I started watching the new series and really been enjoying it. I think it's really, pretty smart series. There's some spooky stuff in there. I mean, I was thinking about it. They did a nice little nod to the 90s videotapes and stuff, and I think I maybe watched one or two of them when they came out, but I was in college, so I was kind of out of their target market back then. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cute or whatever. But now it's really neat, and all the 90s nostalgia that they've put in the new series and how they've kind of hat tipped to some of the older 90s VHS Goosebumps series is pretty cool. But I don't know. I love
Come on.
Rachel Harris. I love Justin Long. So
Yeah, he's like, I said this to you, he's the male version of a Scream Queen.
yes.
And I'm on episode 2. And
Oh,
it's
okay,
just
cool.
it's just fun to watch. But
Yes.
Justin,
And awesome 90s music.
yeah, and I was like, I had no idea Justin Long was so great at slapstick, man. He's
Oh,
falling
it
out.
gets better. It gets better. The last episode, and it's not even the last episode of the season yet. I think this week's the finale, but yeah, this last episode was hilarious. I was just imagining, I'm like, he must have been cracking up when the camera was off, because how in the heck did he do this?
Are there more 90s flashbacks or anything, or is it just the first
Oh
episode?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there are. Oh, good.
There's a whole storyline with their parents back in the 90s. So it does a really good job of drawing connections to make you think. And maybe there's bigger Goosebumps out here. I apologize if I'm like, there's probably someone out there who's gonna listen to this and scream and be like, because on this happened. And I'm like, I don't know, because I wasn't a huge fan back then. But my guess is they harken back to maybe their parents even being those people in the VHS tapes in the 90s.
Yeah, I haven't got that far yet, but
So
I am enjoying it. So, I have no idea what this means, DeBronzo. You wrote Disney finally has a show rate MA and Echo. What does that
Yes.
mean? What does that mean?
The character Echo. You would have seen her in what do you call it, Hawkeye. She was the one that the Kingpin. He didn't raise her or whatever, but like an assassin.
Didn't watch Hawkeye.
Not a big loss, but the whole thing is the MCU is going with. It was okay, but they're doing an MA show, like rated MA. So
Oh,
What kind of powers does Echo have?
she's really just in this. I don't know. I'm not. This was after my time as a comic fan as a kid.
Okay.
I know she's an assassin. She's a very good martial artist. She's deaf. I don't know if there's. I think there's
So
more
her-
to her in the comics now.
They gave
What's
us
that,
some powers via her Indian background,
Okay,
of American Indian, but I don't know what they are.
you see it in the. You see a lot of what do you call it? I forget it. I lost it. But
Flashbacks in the trailer, you see.
yes. And her father is in the series was Dark Winds. Clarence, can't think of his name.
Oh, that guy? I love that guy.
Yeah. But he gets killed off. Okay. Sorry, spoilers. But no,
Chuck
it's
Wins
just
is great.
yeah. I'm just curious because I'm kind of like I think a lot of us are like the whole Marvel thing is it needs to go away. Or they need to do I mean seriously, it's just like
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
it's cookie cutter and
Well,
but
here's this is actually a springboard into a couple things to
Yeah,
talk
into
about.
something you wanted to bitch about. Go on.
Mhm.
Not bitch about, just discuss. Because, okay.
Yeah.
DC universe movies are really kind of hemorrhaging money. The Marvel and Star Wars universes are hemorrhaging money at this point. They are not racking up big wins. The oversaturation and the tossing good writing out the window, lack of forethought has like caused them to lose huge numbers of fans. So the streaming shows aren't really getting watched very much. For example, Ms. Marvel was one of the least watched shows on Disney. So it sounds unrelated, but it's not. I've been reading about economics, very dry, but for over almost 15, 20 years now, we've been very used to low interest rates. So you could get an interest rate to buy your house of under 4%, and you would shop around for interest rates as low as possible. And this made it very affordable to borrow the money.
4% for a home loan? It was like 8 or so, 7 or
Oh, you're
8%.
talking about now. I'm talking
No,
about
I'm talking about in the 2000s.
After the housing crash.
Right.
Interest rates have been low, and my interest rates have not been above 4%, and I'm not an exception. Well, the point is, now with inflation, the interest rates have been pegged high, and currently, I think to buy a home, you'd be paying 7.5%, which 7.5% of a 30-year mortgage is a horrific amount of money, and it's really hurting people's ability to buy homes. But think about it. The article I read said Netflix 15 years ago, 10 years ago, had $500 million in debt that they were carrying. But borrowing became so cheap that to develop new competing content, their current debt is 13, 14, 15 billion dollars. That's just Netflix. And a lot of times what they would do is, instead of like paying off the debt because the interest rate was so low, they'd roll it over because you don't have to pay too much to keep maintaining that debt. It's like, if you understand that your credit card debt is 20%, you realize carrying a credit card balance is foolish. But now no one's going to be able to afford the money. And the fact that these movies are tanking, gobbling up like $250 million production for Ant-Man, and it's a flop. Who knows if the Marvels is going to make anything at all, and it cost a couple $100 million to make. So now suddenly you've got all these big streaming services and production companies have this huge amount of debt that they cannot service any longer. And so the point is, with the interest rates being so high, one of the reasons that they're canceling shows left and right that don't look like winners is they're not going to be able to afford to maintain the debt. It means the market's going to shrink. So streaming services are going to have to consolidate. For example, Disney bought Hulu.
Mhm.
But it
Well,
also,
and I heard they're buying another streaming service, weren't they? Or they just bought.
it also means they are not going to have the money to produce as many shows. The CGI budget is going to drop. If you can't give them a winner, they're probably not going to fund you. And it means that we're going to have, right now we're complaining about bland, incessant Marvel content, because frankly, a lot of it's been crap. It really has. But what if they can't afford to make those shows? What are we going to be, as horror fans, we're lucky because horror movies are often low budget. Like No One Will Save You was not a high budget movie, but a big superhero blockbuster, maybe you'll have the big three that actually make money most of the time are Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman. So those series will continue to probably reboot. But Flash, you may never see another Flash movie for 20 years.
I'm fine with that.
There's not going to be a new Infinity War saga, a Phase 5. They aren't going to be able to afford it. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think actually the market's really going to shrink and there's going to be less content for us to mull over.
You know what? I'm actually fine with all of that. I'm fine with it. People can read books if they really need something to do, right?
One of the things you're not factoring in, Matt, is the budget for marketing too. Generally, like that.
They tell you the production cost. That doesn't describe the whole cost of the movie.
Yeah, to promote that thing is gigantic.
What about Amazon Prime? They have more money than God. I've felt for years that Netflix is going to get bought or fold because they're so in debt. But Prime has a lot of money.
I don't know if they have, with money being so expensive. What did the Rings of Power cost to produce?
Oh, God.
$1 billion to buy the rights and shit.
Right. Now think of the debt that incurs and the interest they're going to have to pay now.
And it wasn't a home run.
No, it was, frankly, it stunk to high heaven. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
I read the whole series. I was looking forward to it. I was ready to buy into it, and it was dreck. It was almost unwatchable.
I mean, at least
I didn't even
Amazon
finish.
has their online shopping though as a whole nother business, whereas like you're talking about a streaming service like Netflix, that's all they got to make their money back.
Exactly.
So Mike DeRonzo, I don't even know if they're ever going to release the Echo series. There's going to have to be a big retread. These people, a lot of them were producing content, and their idea of content was to gender swap the characters, and this is new, and it's not.
The series they just dropped the trailer yesterday, so it is coming out.
Okay, maybe it's already shot, but
yeah,
if it's in the can, they might use it. But Batgirl was shot, and they deep sixed it.
Yeah, they wrote it all.
One of you guys mentioned Chapelwaight was renewed, and now it's dead.
Yeah, that was me too. It was renewed a while ago. Okay.
Well, but the actors' strike is still happening too, isn't it?
No, I thought that got resolved, didn't it?
I thought the writers' one got resolved.
The actors' strike has not resolved.
Yeah, that's what I was tracking. The writers have resolved, but the actors haven't. So there's a lot of things that are getting tanked as they're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, Chapelwaight got renewed a while ago. I mean, it's been like, I don't know an exact date, but probably like around about a year sounds good. And that was greenlit, and they're going to do it. And then the other day, I read on like Bloody Disgusting. They pulled the plug. So that's done. Just to circle back to Echo for a second, the whole reason I mentioned the MA is because I know they're doing Daredevil Born Again. So I was wondering if, as they're going with a rating for that show, if they would try to replicate the Netflix feeling for Daredevil. That's all.
I would actually be much more cautious and say, I will not believe these shows are released until they are. Because just because they say they're going to do Daredevil, actually they had shot half the season,
and then they started.
They canned it. They said looked at it was terrible.
Assume nothing.
They're like for Blade. Blade has gone through so many iterations. They got, I'm sorry, I can't say his name, Mahershala Ali. I'm sorry, I just don't. Oscars. No one's better than Wesley Snipes, but he would be a really good Blade. and it's died in production. It's been canceled. And when you look at their proposed scripts, there was one as they were going to have 4 female characters, and it was going to be stories about life lessons, and Blade was going to be the 5th lead or something.
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that.
Because what
Like
the
the fourth
hell? But now it's all, I won't even think there's going to be another Blade anything until they actually have it because of this money issue.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
that's-
think I
Go
think the
ahead.
interest rates is a really good point, but I think this with Disney it's even more complicated than that because they've changed, leadership. And
So
they
then-
also made a big change to reduce the amount, like way before a lot of this happened, they made the decision to reduce the amount of content to try and just make better content.
That's
What
what
a
they
thought.
said. They haven't gotten to there yet. As far as I know, Bob Iger is still chairman of the board or whatever the hell it is, but there is another $1 billion venture investor who's trying to do an almost hostile takeover. I think he's gotten a seat on the board, and he's trying to buy out enough shares to get rid of Iger.
Rick, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's also been with Marvel. There was a point where they could do no wrong and they could gamble on characters who were not well known to the general public, like Guardians of the Galaxy. But after the Eternals flopped,
Mhm.
you're not going to get the sort of Werewolf by Night again.
Hang on a second. First of all, my headphones are really bothering me today. Can you guys hear me all right? I'm
Yes.
using a different microphone.
Speaking of echo,
There's an echo, is there?
no, it's
Little
just you got a more reverberating, manly kind of voice.
Oh, thank you.
I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
It's okay. Pete's here.
It's there.
Pete's here.
I'm just stopping in to say hi between panels and movies.
How's the film festival?
It's pretty cool. I like Mobile. Mobile's a nice walking city. It's really nice. But I had 5 minutes and I thought I'd pop in and say hi.
That's great. Glad you did.
Maybe next week you can give us a report.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
I am curious, Pete. I know this was the first film festival in
Nice year.
first film festival in Mobile. How was it? The smaller crowd is to be expected. How was it?
it's about 40 to 50 people.
Okay.
It's not big, but that's a nice start.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
yeah.
So
I told Gwen it's a long game. You just got to think long game.
Yep. and Gwen is like 20 feet from me. Here.
Oh, we said,
There's Gwen.
oh, nice.
Hey, hi, Glenn.
So, but yeah, it's pretty nice. I'm having a good time.
Oh, poor
I just
Brian.
I'd
Poor
stop
Brian.
by.
Poor Brian Callahan. Did you see that post on Facebook?
Oh,
Yes,
God,
he's
yeah.
fine there. He's
He got-
fine today. He's good. I went drinking with him last night.
He went drinking with all those
Yes.
hops.
No, that once they gave him Benadryl and a histamine, it all went away.
Oh, good.
So anyway,
I hurt just looking at that photo.
yeah, it hurt. So anyway, nice to see you guys. I'm gonna let you guys go and have fun.
You
Thanks,
too,
talk to
buddy.
later.
Thanks for dropping in.
Bye.
So
Safe
what,
drive home.
what I wanted the last thing about Marvel to piggyback onto what Rick was saying was, if you think about from say, I don't know, 2012 to 19, 2000, the core character was Iron Man and Captain America and their relationship, and they played well off each other. And that was all kind of planned. And they don't seem to have much of a plan now. So you think like, who could be the core group? They could center it around a villain like Doctor Doom or the X-Men. But unfortunately, the X-Men are on contract. They cannot make a new X-Men film until the actors' contracts expire, which is 2026. So that's why they've not been able to bring the X-Men really into the Marvel MCU shows. Because maybe if they had been able to say pivot from Iron Man, the Avengers to the X-Men, then they wouldn't have gone to such obscure things as the dross that was She-Hulk.
I want to wrap this up, but I just want to say, is all of this really a tragedy? I mean, really?
Well, it's
I-
sad
I'm-
because it was so enjoyable for a good long time, and now it's just very unenjoyable.
Yeah.
So I've lost interest. I'm actually canceling my Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, I did that too.
There's nothing wrong with it sleeping for a while, even a long time. I
Right.
mean, how can you miss them if they don't go away? Especially
Right.
when they're not,
Exactly.
Good point.
like you said, if you're not going to keep that standard that we've enjoyed, and it's just declining returns, and eventually just like, I'd rather just cut it off. And yeah, if you're a company, you're losing money because you're not putting out a movie. But is it better that, or people are just indifferent, don't give a shit?
Okay, speaking of sequels, It Follows is getting a sequel, and DeBronzo, you asked, should it? And I've got very mixed feelings about this.
Yeah, just for people, it's called They Follow. Actually, I have give me a second, and I will bring up.
Couldn't they have
Bloody
named it?
disgusting.
Couldn't they have named it "It Caught Up"?
Okay.
Oh, no one asked.
Catch up with a few people, and It Follows. Yeah.
Let's see. You guys keep talking. I'm just
Seriously, guys, is my mic all right? I don't know what's wrong.
You sound fine, Mike.
All right, good.
A very slight reverberation. It's just perfectly crystal clear.
All right, good. You know, that I really like that movie. It's such a disturbing horror movie, full of dread. And you know, can they repeat that with the second one?
It says here's just a brief, like, 2-sentence description. In the first movie, Monroe was the main character. Jay Height, a young woman followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter. In 2024, the threat is now in all caps everywhere. That's all that there is to it. But that is, I think it kind of like, I really like the original movie. And I think it wraps up nicely with that, that ambiguous ending. Kind of perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of like Halloween. Like, Loomis looks out and they do all the shots around town, and it's kind of perfect. So I don't know. I'm with you, Mike. It's just like, it's fine the way it is. Maybe they make a great movie out of it, but I don't know.
Or maybe they won't have the money for it, as what we were talking about a minute ago. Yeah, who knows? I mean, it does happen. Sequels are good. Godfather 2, Aliens,
Yeah.
Terminator 2, but I don't know. I think it's more the exception.
Yeah, it's great when it's a self-contained story. You've told the story, and then
Sometimes there's a film that's so good you don't really need to do anything else with it. Can't it just?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Yeah. And is it a money grab? I don't know. So
it's the original director, so got that going.
Something.
So I wanted to talk about Kimberly Schmeltzer as a regular on the Facebook group, and she's
Kimberly.
Well, she wanted us to mention Dracula Daily, which has been running since early May and is getting set to finish. Today, Van Helsing caught up with The Brides, and I think the series runs 2 more days or something like that. You can either go on to the subreddit and read it all yourself. For those of you who don't know, Dracula is an epistolatory novel where it's all told in journal articles, journal entries, newspapers, letters from a certain date. And so what the people who came up with Daily Dracula did is they are releasing just those journal articles from the date. So it's been running since May and it's going to end pretty soon. And you have the journal entries from November 5th today. You can still catch up with it. All the entries are on the ezine board. I've tried to put interesting photographs and definitions for you to enjoy if you want to. So we've been celebrating all things Dracula on the ezine, even though it's not really cosmic horror, for months now, and it's just coming to its culmination.
Well, we enjoy different types of horror.
Sure, but I would say then is one thing I would be interested in is if people want to message me, or I don't know how to do this. I'd like to know what are the 10 top vampire movies. We've sometimes watched vampire movies on movie night, like A Girl Walks Home Alone, and we've watched several, and we watched the whole Chapelwaite series. So there are great vampire movies out there. And so if you really have been enjoying Dracula, why don't you let us know what your favorite vampire movies are? Well, like, for example, Rick, what's your favorite vampire movie?
Horror Dracula.
Gosh, that's great.
Here's how they can let us know. Just respond or just comment on this YouTube page that you're watching this on.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever, that's great. I'm glad you do. But I'll have a link to this video as I've been trying to do, and you can if you'll come over here and write a comment. Your favorite vampire movie. So
And then we may watch a couple of them on movie night. We've
Yeah.
watched werewolf movies, you know. Right now we're looking at time travel movies.
yeah. So what is your favorite vampire movie? Comment below on the YouTube page.
Bridget, what's yours?
Oh my gosh, you make me just pick one.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I know.
Okay.
I'm really just partial to Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, me too.
The Brad Pitt one.
But Only Lovers Left Alive is up there too.
Yeah. I've watched that one 3 or 4 times. It's great. You wanted to talk about Godzilla Minus One, DeBronzo, for some strange reason.
Yeah, Matt's very excited.
I'm
Yeah, they
excited.
just
Who doesn't like Godzilla? And this looks fabulous.
it does. The second trailer dropped. If you haven't seen it yet, and you're a Godzilla fan, if you're not, look at it. You may become a Godzilla fan. It looks beautiful. And this is for anybody that's not in the know. It looks like Godzilla Minus One. This is in the vein of the original movie, where it's set right after World War II.
Mike, do you think this is the first time they've gone back to the horror of it?
What? You mean in the whole series, of the entire Godzilla?
It seems to me like Godzilla's become like a
Good guy.
He's not been scary, you
Yeah,
know. And now
there's been a few movies where they've made him the villain again. GMK, which is Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, where they actually switched. Godzilla is the bad guy, King Ghidorah is the good guy. There's another one, which is escaping me right now, of course. Damn it, I can't think of it.
So you're saying that if I'll watch the trailer, you're saying it seems to be more of a horror film than previous Godzillas?
Yeah, have you ever seen the original one?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, the 1954, preferably not the Raymond Burr one. Japanese one where
I've seen the Raymond Burr one.
yeah, that was my first introduction. Then you see the actual cut of the movie, totally different. It's played very serious. You don't have him interjecting with his comments from one room. But it looks amazing. It looks like it's a good movie to boot. Just not, hey, cool, it's a giant monster. It looks great. It looks like it's going to be a solid movie.
One
of the things what's that?
I'll bet John Langen's excited.
John Lang is a huge Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
There's also the Monarch TV series.
Yeah. First 3 minutes is available online somewhere to watch if you track it down.
I'm swapping out Disney Plus for Apple because of that.
Oh yeah, because of course I've read Victor LaValle's books, but I got to watch The Changeling this week.
Yeah, that's on there too.
Before I interview him. So you're going to be there, right, DeBronzo?
For Victor LaValle, I'm going to try. I'm really going to try. It's the last minute. It could change for me, but I should be good for Thursday.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm actually reading Lone Women right now, which is turned out to be a really good book. Solid.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to say about Godzilla Minus One is the director. I've seen reviews from people, because it's going to go to, you'll be able to see it in Japan a month before we get it. I think we get to watch it December 1st in theaters.
So Mike, are you going to fly to Tokyo to see it?
If
Oh
I had
man,
that
that'd be
type of money,
epic.
Mike and John, they'll be on the plane.
yeah, maybe Uncle John will buy me a ticket.
Yeah.
Gareth Edwards, who directed the 2014 American Godzilla, had this to say about it. There were a lot of things I felt were very new for Godzilla, and I felt jealous the whole time I was watching the movie. This is what a Godzilla movie should be. Godzilla Minus One must be mentioned as a candidate for the best Godzilla movie of all time.
Wow.
That's high praise.
Oh my God. Well, Mike, if I lived next to you, I'd hook up and we'd go to the first showing like midnight the night of release.
Yeah, me and the better half we already decided like we're in a movie because she's as big a nerd as I am with Godzilla. So good thing to look for there. Finally, some good news. Something it's not getting canceled.
If not, absolutely watch the trailer. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
great.
Well, I do not know if I mentioned this or not. I did on my TikTok, but Dark Gods is now on Kindle. So, that's great. So,
Four novellas, Mike.
all of it, yeah. Yeah.
So one of the best Lovecraftian stories ever written is Black Man with a Horn.
Yeah.
If you read it, a chance to get it and on Kindle for cheap, gosh.
Black Man with a Horn really solves that. I should say they do a really good job with a first person narrator thing where doom is coming. It's not this Lovecraft, the window, which I would be running, not writing down the window, but that's just me. First paragraph of Black Man with a Horn. There is something inherently comforting about the first person past tense. It conjures up visions of some desk-bound narrator puffing I can't talk today, upon a pipe amid the safety of his study, lost in tranquil recollection, seasoned but essentially unscathed by whatever experience he's about to relate. It's a tense that says, I am here to tell the tale, I lived through it. And then he goes on to say, well, whether it's over or I did live through it is, to be determined. So, what are you laughing at? I can't pronounce words today.
Oh, no, it's just you're absolutely right. This is a wonderful story. It is the best story ever written about the Cho-Cho people. It is almost a merciless takedown of Frank Belknap Long, if you're in the know.
Yeah, it is. Oh my God. You won the minute that your name became an adjective to Lovecraft.
Right, but it's really super well written, and people like right now people bitch about George R.R. Martin that he's never going to finish Game of Thrones. Well, here you have this brilliant writer, and he just stopped loving writing, and he doesn't do it anymore. And instead of being sad, I'm glad he left us these stories. These are all wonderful novellas, and if you've never read them, you should pick this up.
Yeah, I introduced Chaz to this a few weeks ago, and he was pretty happy about it. One of our patrons. As much as I love Black Man with a Horn, Children of the Kingdom, as I've often mentioned, is my favorite. But those are my two favorites in the book. And then there's Petey and what's the other one?
Was it Events of the Poroth Farm?
Nadelman's God, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, all of them are really well written. The guy had a gift for prose.
Yeah. So anyway, pick that up on Kindle. That way, if you're a Kindle person, you always have it with you. So, all right. So, anybody know anything about this? The Devil on Trial Netflix documentary?
No, what's it about?
Is it an actual documentary or a mockumentary?
Yeah, it's about, I'm quoting from Time magazine. Netflix has billed its new horror documentary as the first and only time demonic possession was used as a defense in a U.S. murder trial. Of course, in that case, however, the judge ruled that it was not an acceptable defense. He would not permit any evidence related to possession. What evidence? The trial, which took place in 1981 in Brookfield, Connecticut, became known as the Devil Made Me Do It case and drew national attention when 19-year-old defendant Arne Cheyenne Johnson attempted to deny responsibility for the killing of his landlord, Alan Bono, based on claims of possession. So,
Is this a true crime or is it a doctored up? He is a devil.
it's supposed to be a documentation. But did you hear that they arrested the devil, Matt?
Oh,
Yeah. They got him on possession.
Oh,
Okay, so
yeah.
there's this meme that I really liked. It's like there's a little demon and he's talking to the devil and says, "Hey, why don't you pull out your gold fiddle and play me a tune?" And he says, "I lost it in a fiddle contest." And the demon says, like, "How'd you lose?" He says, like, "Well, this guy, he just outplayed me." He said, "Who judged the contest?" "I did." And the demon says, "Well, couldn't you just lie and say you won? I mean, you are the devil." The devil looks at him and says, "First of all, you weren't there and it happened really fast."
And then there's an upcoming movie, DeBronzo, Late Night with the Devil. This looks so good, and I've been waiting to watch it for it to come out on streaming.
It's going to come out on Shudder. It's going to be released in movies first. But David Desmalion, if you would know him from Suicide Squad as Polka Dot Man, he's also in The Boogeyman briefly. But I'll read from, once again, Bloody Disgusting.
Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. Desmalion stars as Jack. Yeah.
Lecter was also in Ant-Man.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he's one of the bad guys, wasn't
The helpers of the ex-cons were helping Ant-Man.
Let's see.
Yeah.
It sounds great. I just looked at the description.
Yeah.
I think this might be easy movie material when it comes out.
Here's a brief description of it. Desmalion stars as Jack Delroy, charismatic, host of Night Owls. And the film traces the ill-fated taping of a live Halloween special plagued by a demonic presence. So,
set in the 70s or 80s.
If you look at it, I'll send you guys the link. It looks, there's a still from it, and it definitely looks like it's from that time period, which would actually be
a little
really
like
cool.
Ghostwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might not be a bad thing.
Bridget, you want to talk about? Sorry, Mike, were you saying something else?
Oh no, go ahead.
Do you want to talk about the Boogeyman? The Boogeyman?
Oh, the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman was really good. I liked it. I have not read the short story, so I can't say whether it was a good adaptation or not, but I really enjoyed it, and I thought they had a pretty good take up, because I just get so tired, honestly, of like the gaslighting in movies of like, oh yeah, and then they never believe them and they're trying to say something horrible happens. And it was refreshing to me in this movie that it was just written really naturally. It wasn't forced in this movie where it's like she's a kid and they're like, okay, all right, honey, whatever, or I don't believe you. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I believe you. So,
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
really
how do
good.
we fight this thing? And so it was just refreshing in that way too. The dialogue was really natural.
Bridget, was it PG-13?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me check. I watched it on Shudder. I remember that, but
Yeah, because we watched it.
It's on Hulu
first
too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we watched it on Hulu.
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's on Hulu. You're right. New Stephen King movie.
And I knew one of the movies I watched recently was PG-13. I'm like, this is pretty, like PG-13 usually caters to the kiddies. But it was solid. Not one time during it, I go, they could have went further. Just a well done story. And it's scary.
PG-13, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it was scary, and the creature design was really cool too. I always like it if they're gonna show the creature that it's not a letdown as a story. The creature design was really good.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
yeah, it's worth a watch for sure. I would even watch it more than once, I think. I don't think it would lose anything if you know what's going to happen. It's still intense. Yeah, PG-13, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, don't if you're
You didn't believe me?
home-
You needed to back that up. Is that what's going on here?
don't let that
No,
turn you
I
off
mean,
from
it's
watching
just,
the
it
movie.
is pretty scary for PG-13.
Yeah, I bet. Sounds like it.
Oh, you
But it's so
saw
refreshing to get a good horror movie, isn't it? I can't wait to
Yeah.
watch it.
What? There are lots of bad horror movies, but there's lots of good ones. Every year there are good ones that come out.
Mhm.
What I like about the horror genre is it's not too expensive to make a movie, so you get lots of people trying lots of things.
Well, on that note, Kelly Young recommended Dark Harvest and Where Evil Lurks to me. DeBronzo, you were in that conversation, part of it too.
Yeah.
Watch Dark Harvest. Wow, what a different film.
Yeah.
Kelly Young just loved it. I thought it was really, when you can say something,
Halloween?
I liked it a lot, and when you can say a movie is really different, that's worth something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely one to check out. I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Where Evil Lurks, you've seen that one, right, Mike?
Yeah. Yeah. When I recommended it to you, I went because me and Kelly had been talking about it right before I recommended it to you, and I'm like, I thought about parts of that movie that you would probably it would be a deal breaker for you. So
Yeah,
that's
I
why I
appreciate that.
I was like, maybe not. Like, with that said, it is a really good movie. There's just some hard parts to it where violence directed at. I don't want to give anything away, but
Yeah.
violence directed at a certain age group. We'll put it to you that way. That probably is a little intense for people.
Yeah.
When are these available?
It's on Shutter, Rick. It's kind of like the brief description would be it's in a kind of like an alternate Argentina where the demonic possession is it's a norm. Not normal, but it does happen. And the state actually acknowledges that. And it's pretty much where religion, I think, is kind of like there really isn't religion anymore organized. It's the state runs to get like they send somebody to take care of it. But it just escalates from really bad decisions by some characters, and it's really effective movie. Anything else is kind of like spoiling.
Are you guys familiar with speaking of Thomas Ligotti? Here we go. He wrote a script for the X-Files a long time ago, and obviously it was never produced, but it is now on a LP from Cadabra Records. cadabrarecords.com. And I don't know who Brandon Trends is, but he reads it. John Padgett's sending me an LP, which was very kind to do. Here's a 2018 webpage, article from, let's see, what is this? dazeddigital.com. The X-Files script that was too bleak to air. So Ligotti wrote something bleak. That's weird, So yeah. Anyway, go to cadabrarecords.com. If you can actually find it on that website, then you're a better web surfer than I am. I found it once before, but I haven't figured out how that website works yet. When you go to it, you get a big list of all their, by the way, they're amazing. I've got several of their LPs. They've been kind enough to send me. And, John Padgett reading Thomas Ligotti stories, the Bungalow House, etc. I've got Cadabra, I think it was Cadabra Records that did The Secret of Ventriloquism, read by Padgett. So, do check out Cadabra Records if you have more money than me. So, all right. Anything else that you guys want to mention? I got a couple things, but I want to.
Bridget, did you want to talk about the Hull House movie, Carmichael Manor?
The what?
Didn't you mention the email Hull House LLC? The new one.
Oh, we Hell House. Yeah, sorry.
Thought he was saying
Sorry, I
Full
just
House.
couldn't hear you.
Full House.
Yes.
Full House. No, that is horrific. Yeah.
We watched that on Halloween, which is why I was like, yes, awesome. I have a service back so we could watch that on Halloween. It was great. I have enjoyed all of those movies. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a prequel without being overtly obviously a prequel or pandering or anything like that. Like it was just, and it didn't explain a whole lot still. It was just enough, I think, to kind of tease you with the story. And it was funny because I was really tired. I kind of dozed off at one point and Mike was like, why are you making me watch this by myself?
So you dozed off, but you're recommending it?
Yes, just because I was really tired. But it's awesome. And, I don't think it's spoilers to say that the scary clowns are in it. And it's just great.
Hell House LLC. I've never
Did you
seen
like it, DeBronzo?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. They managed to expand it without, like, it has connections to very strong connections to the first three movies, but it feels like they're free to go and expand that universe, so to speak. Because yeah, I liked it.
Well, we've got.
Like, I wanted to mention one other thing.
Yeah.
Because it involves one of our panelists. So, the actual volume of publishing of mythos-related books seems to me have really dropped. But PS Publishing is still putting out great books. Just up for pre-order on their website is this book called Mystery, Murder, Mythos, Madness. It's a new anthology edited by Glenn Owen Barras and Brian Sammons. Looks absolutely fabulous, and Pete Rawlik co-authors a story in it.
But get it anyway.
Now, the thing is about PS Publishing is unless they've changed, they don't really do Kindle, and it takes them a long time to get around to any soft cover. So it may be too expensive because it includes shipping from the UK. But gosh, these books are gorgeous, and the author lineup looks really incredible.
So we have four friends.
I've got one thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
On YouTube, the silent movie that I recommend is The Hands of Orlok from around 1922 with Conrad Veidt.
The Hands of Orlok.
The Hands of Orlok.
Okay.
That is it's been remade a lot of times. It's a story of a pianist who is in a train accident where his hands are crushed. And he's given the hands of a skin graft. He's given the hands of a murderer. And the star is Conrad Veidt, who was the sleepwalker in Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, as well as Major Strasser in Casablanca.
You remember that one episode of Angel? I wonder if they swiped that idea from here where one of the employees at Wolfram and Hart, he gets an evil hand to replace his hand that got chopped off by Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget the character's name. He's a pretty major character, but okay. The Hands of Orlok, and it's on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Okay. Well, we have four friends who are doing some pretty cool things. First up is Stephen Mark Rainey, who has put out an anthology, Death Realm Spirits, edited by Stephen Mark Rainey. One of you guys can, either Rick or Matt can explain what Death Realm was better than I can, but I will include the link to this anthology in the show notes. And let me read this. From beyond the land where horror dwells, 20 all-new stories and poems by the most intense voices ever to weave their way into your waking world. From soft, dreadful whispers to high, chilling screams, these voices emerge from the darkness to lure and draw you back to their hellish home, the land where horror dwells. Death Realm magazine was one of the most celebrated horror publications of the 20th century, and now its creator brings you a new volume of fiction and verse for the 21st century and beyond. So,
Even Mark Rainey's a great guy.
yes.
He has written wonderful mythos stories. He's done work with Dark Shadows. And back then he was well known as editor of Death Realm. It just eventually got to be too much, and a lot of magazines have a short lifespan, but he's kept in contact with a lot of people who wrote stories for him. And so he went back and he got, I don't know how we may have to have him on the show to figure out the genesis of this book.
Oh, I asked him, he's going to come on. I asked him kind of last minute today, and he's like, damn it, I'm traveling, but he'll be on the next few weeks or so.
Great. He's he's fun guy, interesting, but
Really great guy.
Has a large number of contacts amongst horror authors. So he just, how it came about is just he revisited like the more popular authors from his magazine and got new work from them.
Yeah. So we have that. Our friend and Patreon Kevin Joyner has created a podcast called Forbidden Cassettes, and it's pretty amazing. Go to forbiddenpod.com, and I'll put that in the show notes as well. But, if you miss Art Bell, it's kind of in that vein. Let me just read the synopsis. Dove Candle has spent the better part of 2 decades exposing vast government conspiracies. He's a DJ, as I said, and exploring unsettling paranormal phenomena on his popular late-night talk radio program, Candle Against the Dark. After interviewing thousands of guests, he's certain he's heard it all. His next guest will prove him wrong. Author and investigator Orson Libretti has joined Dev for an unprecedented 2-night discussion to promote his new apocalyptic novel, Consummation. It is the tragic tale of a suffering soul called Jack Courier. Jack's marriage is coming to a terrible end, and so too, it would seem, is his world. At first, he barely notices humanity's bizarre passive slide into its own demise. His thoughts and actions are reserved solely for his wife and the gluttonous intruders threatening to devour their wedded bliss. But soon he'll discover the unknown forces draining the world at large are the same ones tearing at the paper-thin walls of his perfect little life. Skipping down, this story has all the trappings of a great novel. But for Orson, this is no ordinary book tour. Defying his publisher's demands that the book be marketed as fiction, he insists that it's based on actual events, a cataclysmic chain reaction that annihilated a parallel universe. A questionable claim, to be sure, if he didn't have the tapes to prove it. So the idea is this Dove Candle guy has this late night radio show in the vein of Art Bell, and he has this author, Jack Courier, on the show for 2 nights. So that's kind of the framing of the podcast. But again, go to forbiddenpod.com, and I believe it's on Spotify, Apple, all the regular places as well. Just search for Forbidden Cassettes. Laird has a new book coming up next year, but it's already available for pre-order. It's called Not a Speck of Light. It's a collection. And for $20, you can get the paperback with a signed book plate. So, the other neat thing is the cover art is by Trevor Henderson.
I would also like to mention
really
that
awesome.
because of so much interest, they're now having interior illustrations.
Oh, really? I didn't catch that. That's
Yeah.
great.
I posted on the Facebook group a few pictures from the artist. It looks like there's going to be, I don't know if it's half a dozen, 10, 11 illustrations, just enhancing the appeal of the book. I mean, all they would have to do is put Laird Barron on the cover, and I've already bought it, but
Right.
Because I saw it, I pre-ordered. So
Bram Stoker award-winning author Laird Barron returns to the dark and dreadful with his 5th horror collection, which weaves 16 weird tales into a mosaic of the bloody and macabre. Bring a flashlight and a book of matches. Where we're going, there's not a speck of light, which is the title of the book, Not a Speck of Light. It's published by Bad Hand Books, and I'll include the link in the show notes as well. But, you know, for $20 to get a signed book by Laird with interior illustrations, that's not a bad price to me.
You don't have to, yeah, sure, these sales are going to help him financially, but my gosh, this is Laird Barron's writing.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll have to have Laird on sometime early next year to talk about it. And, you know, it's not going to be available for like another 10 or 11 months, third quarter of next year, but just pre-order it when it comes out. It'll come right to your mailbox, you know? So, and Trevor Henderson, the cover artist, is going to be on this show next week. So,
Right.
yeah, he's a really nice guy, and he's become very well known lately, last several years. Last but not least, and you can't buy these right now, Kelly Young. We'll see if he really listens to these shows, right, Lorenzo? So, yeah, he's writing a book called The Secret Language of Spiders, Welcome to Cobb's End by K.L. Young. And it's a serial horror in 5 parts.
It's almost cruel to advertise it. I want Kelly to get all the recognition he deserves, but it's sold out.
I know it's sold out, but
Yeah,
there'll be a reprint, a mass market next year, according to Kelly. So
yeah, it'll be the complete novel.
yeah, and it's just yeah. This is part 1, and it's got illustrations by, oh shoot, I forget his name. Kelly's gonna kill me.
It's
Artwork by Wade Chitwood. So, and I got one signed by Kelly and the artist, as anybody did who bought this.
Yeah, I've got mine upstairs.
Yeah.
I've got mine upstairs.
So, you know, if you missed out on it, no problem. You can get it next year. But, you know, I don't want to brag, but Bronzo and I got it, and you didn't. So, you got one too, didn't you, Matt?
Oh yeah, I
thought.
didn't realize it was a limited number, and then like there were only 8 left, and I got one.
There's only 33 total.
Yeah. So it went fast, you know. So wait a minute. So when my book comes out, are you going to like jump on it, or are you just going to be like, wait and see if it's good or not?
Wait, you're writing a book, phone book? What?
It's, yeah, just kind of a phone book. Yeah, exactly. A documentary about the phone book.
Okay, so Mike, just actually, I remember how you used to like to go to a coffee shop in the morning and write because it was quiet, and you'd have your keyboard, computer, whatever. And the story that you wrote in Autumn Cthulhu was really.
No, it wasn't in Autumn Cthulhu.
No,
that's the one I edited. It was in Cthulhu Lies Dreaming.
The one about the schoolhouse.
Yeah,
it was really well written, and we've been sort of waiting. So I really hope it does come out.
It will. I'm just trying to be like Ligotti, you know. I'm pacing myself, you know.
That's good pace.
I'm pacing
George
myself.
Martin, Patrick Rothfuss, Mike.
What was that, 7 years ago? Yeah, it's time to release a new story.
Yeah, sure. But by the way, why don't you tell us if anything's coming out from the Ezine Press?
Let me answer that with a no. There's not. Yeah, actually there is. Pete and I and Kelly's help, and we're working on a quote children's book by Pete Rollick. This thing's amazing. It's got amazing artwork by Heather Landry. So yeah, that'll be out soon. And Scott and I, just minor things, you know. I'm tired, but you guys know what I think of Scott's book. Well, all of his work, but especially his book Over the Darkening Fields.
Yeah.
And I've often said to him, you know, we really should reprint this on Kindle, you know, and introduce this to a whole new set of people. And also, you know, because if you buy a copy now, it's used copies, you know, on Amazon or whatever, Scott's not going to get any money off of it. But if we do, and we are going to do a Kindle version, then you'll get paid when you buy one. So we're working on that slowly too. But yeah, thanks for the kind words about the story, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I really am working on something, and I'm quite the right way to say this, but very proud of Kelly. This is really great, you know. And
your story was really good. It was very melancholy, horrific in its way, just absorbing. So like, you know, just sort of been hanging around waiting, guy, hurry up.
yeah, I'd actually arrived on my front porch on Halloween, and also in there was this zombie Batman.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Bridget, I didn't realize this for like an hour, but he made it. He didn't just buy it. He made this.
That's awesome.
What did he send you, Bronzo?
I have a dead astronaut, which is pretty awesome. It's on my desk, but I'm not where I usually am.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah. Thank you, Kelly. And yeah, we're all looking forward to part 2 of The Secret Language of Spiders. So the very day he sends me this, Bridget sends us this. You can tell it, Bridget. The security camera.
Oh, yes. So our security camera, you know, alerts.
Oh, there he is. Never mind. Go ahead.
And it said, you know, oh, there's a person in your backyard or whatever. So we turned on the video to watch it, and it was actually a spider like crawling over the camera. So you just see its little legs like over the camera. It was pretty great. So yeah, I shared that with y'all on the chat. You decided to send it to Kelly and torture him. So
yeah, because he said, you know, the funny thing, Mike, is I do not like spiders, you know. And I was like, I'm right there with you. And then like 20 minutes later, Bridget sends that to us. So I sent him the video, and he's like, you son of a bitch. That's fucking horrible. So that must have been a little unnerving if you get a little alert that someone's in your backyard.
Yeah. I mean, we have a umbrella that in the wind moves around, and so oftentimes it thinks that's a person. Yeah. So we're like, oh, it's probably the umbrella again. And then we look at it, it's like, oh no, that's
it's something horrible. Well, I said to Kelly, I like, you know, sometimes we sort of laugh at the old Lovecraftian trope of seeing a, you know, Cthulhu or some kind of Lovecraftian god or monster, and the protagonist goes mad. But think about it. Think about a spider like that as high as your house, for example. Man, I'd be throwing up instantly and running at the same time.
Have you ever seen the arthropod called a whip scorpion? It's like, I think in the American Southwest, it's not venomous. In fact, it's harmless, but it looks like Satan's nightmares. Gary Larson has actual scientist friends, you know, and this is when in the 80s or 90s when the Far Side was at its heyday. And he went on a camping trip with this guy, and they were collecting specimens. They got this big jar of these whip scorpions. And he woke up the next day in his sleeping bag, and the jar of whip scorpions was next to his sleeping bag, and it was empty.
Oh my God.
They were crawling on him in the sleeping bag. And even though they were harmless, he started shrieking and jumping it down and throwing his arms all around. And his friend is over in the corner just laughing his butt off. So, I mean, I know they're harmless, but if I saw one of those crawling on me, gads.
Yeah, speaking of Mark Rainey, he does the geocaching for fun. And he told me one of the first things I had to get past is, my fear of things crawling all over me, like spiders and other bugs, So geocaching actually looks fun. I should do it.
I'm interested. It's just I'll probably take it up when I'm done with work.
Yeah, when you retire, and when you get, after a couple of months, when you get a little bit tired of yelling at young people in the TV, on your TV.
That is the gift that keeps on giving.
It never gets old, does it? Well, I think I'm 10 years younger than you. I've been there for a while already. Okay, what else we got?
Oh, I did want to mention, I forgot to mention in the PS Publishing book, John Langdon has a story.
All right.
So just if you're interested in mythos, want something brand new, just want a new John Langdon story, who doesn't?
And if you want a new Laird Barron story, while you're waiting for his collection, buy a copy of Shadows Over Main Street 3. It's available in print and Kindle, and Laird's got a story in it.
I would also extend that to say buy all 3 books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good.
Absolutely. So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, this is a headline, just broke a massive streaming record for Peacock. Is it that good, or are just all the little kids watching it?
I don't know.
Anybody seen it?
Go see it. And he thought it was, He's a big fan, I guess, of the game.
Who did?
The youngest.
Oh,
Colin. So he was kind of like, it was all right, but they took their liberties with it.
how old is he?
13.
Oh, okay. Well, he's old enough not to scare easily. But it sounds like it's not really that scary.
It sounds like it's the plot of what the hell is that Nicolas Cage movie? The animatronics. Willie's. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That came after this, but whatever the original IP.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys got anything else?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
You think you're good? And we put the world to rights for this day.
I put my time into it.
Yeah, for the next hour. So I'm gonna watch The Boogeyman tonight, I think.
I guess the one thing I can also say is, if you like King Kong, the original novel has been re-released in an edition with Bob Eggleton's art, and Bob Eggleton's art is
I thought you said Heart at first.
art. It's from Easton Press, so it's not cheap, but the art is freaking glorious. So if you really are a King Kong fan, then I would look at the Easton Press website and see if you want to splurge. Just because
His art is so awesome.
it's like, you can look at the pictures too. I mean, you don't need to buy the book, but oh my gosh, he's wonderful. Bob Eggleton does Magnificent Cthulhu's, Dragons, Godzilla, King Kong. Oh boy.
Yeah, he is wonderful. Oh yeah, thanks to Bronzo. This is a nice.
It's cool.
Kelly did a good job on this undead astronaut.
Can you screen share?
Yeah. You see it?
Ah,
That is slick.
It is. I love it. It's on
Yeah.
that's so
on my
cool.
desk.
I was like, man,
Oh
I
my
didn't
It's
know
like the
you.
old sci-fi cover.
Yeah.
When
You
you
know what
said
I'm talking
when you
about?
said
What book is that?
when you said you had a dead astronaut, I thought maybe it was just a little astronaut toy laying on its side, but this is really cool.
Well, I said to him, I didn't know you did this. And he goes, well, I had a lot of time during lockdown. So
It's gorgeous.
Looks like a comic book villain.
Yeah.
Comic
Oh.
skull.
yeah. So I want to mention a few Patreons. I'm gonna start doing this. I'll keep last names off, but Alan, Andrew, Ben, David, another Alan, Kathy, some guy called Forbidden Cassettes. I don't know who that is. Thank you, Kevin. Jeremiah Dillon Cook, Jessica M. Who could that be? Michael Brugman, Rebecca, who provided me with a lot of, you know, I couldn't really rely on Matt's advice, medical advice. You know, I had to double check it.
So just so you know, Rebecca Allred, MD, Dr. Allred is a pathologist. She's more than a pathologist. She is an artist, and she is a really good writer.
Yes.
She wrote book stories for both of the books that I edited, and they're standout stories. So thanks for being a patron, Dr. Allred.
Yep. And she's got quite a few other stories now in various places. Yeah, Google her and read her stories. Rebecca Allred is Allred. I'm pretty sure. I don't have it in front of me. So let me see. I'm just going to mention a couple more. Tim, Ronald, Robert, and Robert. We have a lot of Roberts and Allens. And here's a Rob. So if you want to be a patron, and your name is Alan or Rob, especially, you know, it's just Google Lovecraft Ezine patron, patreon.com/Lovecraft Ezine. So thanks to all of you. I think most of you here are patrons too, as well as panelists. Man, I'm lucky.
Kind of the reverse of the way it should be. Like, instead of you paying,
I don't know. It's working out for me really well, you know. Last but not least, I'm doing like a TikTok series, and it's on the it's on YouTube as well, on the Lovecraft Ezine YouTube page. If you scroll down the playlist, where I'm recommending different horror books and movies, and I haven't gotten around to games yet, but I'll do that too. So, you know, if you're looking for something to read or watch, I've been doing that a couple times a week.
Another series you're doing is you have some author say what they're currently reading.
Oh yeah, that's the blog series on lovecraftezine.com every Tuesday. So we have someone from the horror community tell me what they're reading and why. And Matt's up this coming Tuesday. So Matt Carpenter. So yeah. All right. That's all I got. Prize, Matt?
Yes. Cthulhu plushie modeled after, look, you can make him fight.
Cthulhu Dumbo.
It's from the Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom comic book series. If you want to win it, send an email.
It is? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what it's modeled after. That's why it looks like the way that it does.
Yeah.
So if you want to win this, just send an email to ezineprizes@gmail.com and put plushie in the subject heading. We randomly select a winner in about 6 or 7 weeks, and you've got plenty of time to enter.
You can also leave a voicemail at 515-650-2540. And, you know, besides being a patron, it really helps if you comment on the YouTube page. Matt mentioned that he wants to know what people's favorite vampire movie is. You know, I'd like to know what the listeners and viewers are watching and reading. You know, it's always interesting. And anything you want to say about the program, you know. Also, if you review it on Apple, that really seems to help a lot too. So those are the main things. So I really appreciate everyone who does that. So thanks to you guys for being here. Next, well, Thursday we're going to record with Victor Laval, and then next Sunday we've got Trevor Henderson. So got some great guests coming up. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.